Hi everyone, it's me, Beaticali Sunflower. So I thought I'd hop on today and do a hashtag that I've seen going around. So this hashtag is called Tarot Decks for Life, and it was started by Simon from the Hermit's Cave channel. And the hashtag is about decks that you would never part with. So this was quite hard because I think it's 10 decks that you have to choose from, and I've got more than 10 decks that I'm keeping for life. So I thought that I'd kind of show you the ones that I don't really go on about and give you my reasons why. So the first deck that I want to talk about is called the Arcane Warrior Tarot by Levi. And Levi gifted me this deck about 3 years ago when I had my surgery for lung cancer. So he sent it to me as like a get well sort of present. And I actually used this deck consistently for the 7 months that I was kind of bedbound after the surgery. And it was a very predictive deck. In addition, this is the only kind of all masculine deck that I've got, because most of my decks are feminine or mainly feminine. But this deck here is all masculine or all male. And sometimes it's good to have masculine energy as well in your collection. There's also like keywords on this deck. So the Oracle, I see beyond the vial. So that's the High Priestess, the Nurturer, the Empress, I embody central growth. The Monarch, which is traditionally the Emperor, I am the Pillar. It's very nice, kind of like rose petal cardstock, which is my preference. Beautiful backs. And as I said before, because at the time I think this was a Kickstarter campaign, and he just sent me it as a gift, which was quite a lot of money, because I think it was probably in the 50s to buy. I thought that was very generous, and again, because it's all masculine, I will never part of this deck. It's also quite sentimental to me. I find it quite predictive, and in addition, it's all masculine, which I think everybody needs in their tarot deck collection. So the second deck is called the Tarot of the Tailors. I wouldn't necessarily call this a tarot deck. Well, I guess it kind of is and it isn't. It's in between a tarot deck and an oracle. It comes with like a pull-out leaflet that gives you the meanings of the cards. Let's take this off. It's a business card for the people that made the deck. So you've got the front cover card. And these are the backs of the cards. So they're not in order because I haven't put them back in order, but I wish they were numbered because that would make it more easy for me to relate to this additional tarot deck. So if I look at the Fabulous Scissors, I can give you what it says in the pull-out. The Fabulous Scissors, right side up. This card portends that all will go smoothly and cut well. Upside down, watch out for the snags and burrs that can ruin an otherwise well thought out project. So this card gives both meanings, but some of the meanings are the same, either up and down. So let me show you some of the cards. They are related to the major Acarna once they're all put in order, but I haven't put them in order. I've just been shuffling them and using them according to the pull out, but I think I will probably number them so that I know which card represents which archetype. But it's an interesting deck, and this deck will never leave my collection. This next deck, Instant Archetypes, a new tarot for the new normal, was my first Kickstarter deck that I ever bought. So this is why this deck will never leave my collection. It's kind of sentimental. It's a modern deck. I wouldn't even say it's Rider-Waite buy it even though they say that it is. And it comes with the instructions again in a pull-out leaflet. And this is numbered so you can relate to it. So the consumer is the Fool. These are the backs of the cards. Just plain. The Hacker is the Magician. The Researcher would be the High Priestess, and you can see that there's the eyes there and there's the two pillows. That could be the Moon. Growth is the Empress. Let me just read you out in the pull-out. Well, it gives you a very modern kind of interpretation for each card. The Empress says, growth is for fulfillment. It supports and sustains projects both large and small and responds well to careful stewardship, which it will return in kind. But growth at the wrong time and in the wrong place or of the wrong thing can be an obstacle instead of a resource. Growth is the corn in the fields and the balance of the bank account. But growth is also the weeds in your wheat field and the conceer in your bones. And then it's got here, upright keywords are resource, progress, abundance. And reversed is monopoly, obstacle, and consumptive. So it kind of gives you like a modern version of the cards. And because it was my first ever Kickstarter, this will never ever leave my collection. So the Emperor is the State. The Hierophant is the Academy. The Lovers is the Designer. The Chariot is the Drone. Strength is the Authority. The Whistleblower is the Hermit. And the Market is the Wheel of Fortune. It's a very interesting Major Arcana tarot deck. So this is the fourth deck, and they're in no particular order. This deck is my first ever deck that I bought out of print. It did come in a tuck box that has since been destroyed, and look at that, it's kind of bowed. So that's why I do like my decks to be in boxes, even if they're in bags, because sometimes when they're not in a box, they can become a bit disjointed. So I need to get like a kind of box, just a plain box to put this deck in. So the 9U Tarot, got it for a good price. It's not my particular art style, but I think it's because it was my first out of print deck. But so there's two full cards in this deck, maybe winter and summer. So you've got the Magician, which is a witch. The High Priestess. The Empress. The Emperor. And it's also quite blurry as well, the kind of line work, but because it's the first, I won't get rid of it. This is the Lovers. The Chariot, the two dragons. Justice is card 8. The Hermit. And the Wall of Fortune. And the backs of the cards are purple with the yin and the yang there. So the next deck is my Sleepover Blythe Tarot cards by Jasmine Souls. I've also got the Lenormand cards to this as well. This was quite an expensive deck, but I got it from, I think it was either my birthday money or Christmas money when I did buy it. I can't remember, but I know that it was from gift money, so I might not be able to afford it. So this is really well done. So it's based on the Rider-Waite-Smith system, and even the clothes are kind of very similar to what you see in the traditional deck. And she's used all her Blythe dolls So at the backs of the cards are the ring pulls. So at the back of the Blythe, you get these kind of like ring pulls that you pull to change the eyes. I think that's well done. So you've got the Magician. And even that the background is kind of designed to represent the garden in the traditional deck. Got the High Priestess. The Empress. So it's not for everyone, but because I like to play with dolls, and I collect dolls as well. I do collect Blythes, I do collect vintage dolls as well. So this is why this deck is never going to leave my collection. I do have other doll decks, like I've got a major Arcana only Barbie tarot deck, and I used to have the Pippa. There was a Pippa deck, but my grandchildren got hold of that when they were younger, and that was destroyed. And I did contact the creator to ask if she could send me one, but she told me that she will be doing that on Kickstarter sometime this year, so I'm going to look out for the Pippa deck. When I've got like the large dolls, like the Jasmine Beckett tarot cards, but they're not really of real dolls. They're kind of like doll inspired. So this is my only real, I would say, full-length tarot deck that was based on a doll. Look at the Devil card. You can see that there's a Blythe doll with a devil's face, and all the Blythe dolls down the bottom. It's really well made. Temperance, the Devil. It's a beautiful deck. So this deck here is called the Wang's Crystal Clear Major Arcana. There was a minor Arcana deck to this as well, which I haven't been able to get hold of, and I think this deck's out of print now. But the reason why this deck will never leave my collection is because it's very unusual and very comical. I like decks that pick me up. So the Fool, and it gives you like the keywords for the upright. So beginning, openness, carefree, be careful of the cliff, and optimism. And then for the reverse, it says careless, about the fall off the cliff, beginning, not open enough. I can't read that, but I think that says beginning, not open enough. And then it says here, look where you're going. So it's just a very interesting deck. Let's turn it around. These are the backs. I'm not very keen on the backs of the cards, like the author's signature. And it's just like a Rider-Waite inspired, I would say, decks with keywords. Magician says, be good. The Priestess says, trust yourself. The Empress says, hot bitch. The Emperor is daddy issues. So it's quite fun. The Pope or the Hierophant is anti-pro capital, environmentist, I Pope Francis I. And then you've got the Lover's card, which says, reflect my bubble. The Chariot is go, go, go. The Strength is badass bitch. I need alone time. The Wheel of Fortune is good luck, and then reversed is bad luck. Justice is no justice, no peace, no racist please. The Hangman is chillaxing. The Death card is don't fear death, and so on and so forth. But I do wish it was like a full set, but unfortunately I was only able to get the Major Arcana. But because of the unusualness of the deck and the difficulties that I had actually getting this deck in the first place, it will never leave my collection. So this is the Sasuraibito Tarot. I think this is the first edition. And this was my first ever purchase from the little red tarot shop. So this was something that I will always value. Do excuse this on my hand. I had an operation yesterday. I had surgery. So it's just the bit that was holding the needles in together. It's kind of hard to get that off, but it'll come off soon. This was my first little red tarot deck. And it's also like a very beautiful deck. gives very predictive readings. I think the newer version is not so glossy, I believe, but this one's quite glossy, but I love it. Never part of it, as I said. And it was, the reason why is because it was my very first deck that I bought from the Little Red Tarot. And as you know, the Little Red Tarot has now got new ownership. But this one was from Beth, when Beth had it. So the next deck is the Whimsical Tarot. This is my only mass market deck that I'm going to be showing you. It's actually out of print now. It's in a nice Kelly bag. I've had this for many, many years. So the Whimsical Tarot is about fairy tales, which I like. It does come with a little white book, but there's not much information on there. And this is just a kind of introduction card. But what I like about the bigger book, which I think is also out of print, is that it kind of like explains to you why the scarecrow was kind of used in the archetype of the card. So let me put the scarecrow down so you can see it. Bring down a bit. In the guidebook, it says, character the scarecrow, story the Wizard of Oz. Description: the scarecrow is an excellent choice for depicting the Fool. The Fool is an open-minded sort. Blessed with childlike innocence, he sees only beauty and adventure among the pitfalls of life, and he embraces them with all joyful exuberance. He consistently seeks out the unknown and explores endless possibilities. Everyone loves him. He is kind, courteous, caring, and fun to be around. The problem with the Fool is that he simply doesn't think things through. Even if mundane faults were a possibility for him, it would mean having ideals, making a stand, or even more extreme, taking some kind of positive action to bring them into reality. I'll just give a bit about the advice. So it says, when the Fool skips through your spread, take time to smell the roses and find the silver lining in the clouds overhead. Sing, laugh, be happy, dance in the joy of being alive. Think back to your childhood and recapture the innocence and purity of the time. I mean, that's a bit about it. It's quite a long kind of discussion for each card, but what I like about this deck is that it's my favourite childhood kind of fairy tales or fairy stories, and then it actually tells you why they use the archetype for the card. So the magician is Puss in Boots. I think this is Rapunzel. Or no, Cinderella this is for the High Priestess, that's the godmother. The Empress is the old woman that lived in the shoe. The Emperor is Father Christmas. And so on and so forth. But it's a really nice deck. I will never part of it. I don't think it's in print again. This is Cinderella as well, when her pumpkin changed into mice. But I do love this deck. The next deck is called the Lucid Tarot, and this is by a tarot tuber called, I think it was Tarot Mama, but I haven't seen her around for quite a while. So she was more on Instagram than not a tarot tuber. So she used to post this deck a lot on Instagram, and I actually asked her where she got her deck from because I was actually enjoying her posts, and she said that it's her own personal deck. It's not for sale. She made it for herself. So I asked her if I could buy one from her. So she actually gifted it to me. She actually gifted me 2 copies. And then I bought her Lenormand deck that goes with this. But this is actually my backup copy because the original copy, again, my grandkids, when they were small, they put it in the washing machine and I was so upset. But they're bigger now, they're almost 10, so they don't do things like that no more. But when they were younger, they used to have a thing with sepia colour decks, and this decks that they thought needed to be washed, so they used to put them in the washing machine or throw them in the bath. But they're about 2, 3 at the time, but they don't do that no more. They know how much my tarot decks mean to me, and they would never do that again. But this deck is, I think it's collage art, and she got it from like a website that gives free collage art, and it's just a really easy reader for me. It's one of my many soul decks, this one, and it will never ever leave my collection. I don't know whether she's still selling them, but I know that she was selling them for a little while after she made this for me. And the Lenormand deck is very similar, but it hasn't got any keywords, so if you don't know Lenormand, it might be difficult to put them back in order. But as I said before, she's not around no more, so I'm not sure whether she's still selling this on Make Playing Cards. But this is a wonderful deck, and I really love it. This is a Lucid Tarot deck. And the final deck, which is another Teddybear bag, is called the Teddybear Tarot. This deck was quite expensive, in my opinion, for what it is. It's in between a pocket and a tarot size. It's by Tivda, but they did have a fake copy on Amazon, but this is the one from the real people. I love the backs of the cards. This is the second edition, and I was copy number 1451 out of 1500, so I don't know whether it was on Kickstarter or whatever, but I got it directly from the company. There is a QR code to get the guidebook, but the guidebook is very musical and quite distracting. I can't find the barcode. Oh, here it is. So if you use that QR code, you get there's a guidebook that comes with it, or a PDF, but it's very musical and distracting. That was for me. So I love teddy bears. I've still got my childhood teddy bear, but it's not in a very good state. And this deck again takes me back to my childhood, and it's Rider-Waite inspired. So you've got the Magician, the High Priestess. But as I said before, there was another one that was on Amazon that I almost bought, and it had like a square border, and it was completely different to this one, even though it had the same name. So I just stuck with this one. The Hierophant, the Lovers, the Chariot, Strength. Isn't that a beautiful Strength card? Look at that. It's adorable. The Hermit, and the Wheel of Fortune. So thank you so much, Simon, for devising this beautiful hashtag. I will leave links in the description bar if these decks are available, but I think a lot of them are now out of print. That's probably why they're in my Tarot Decks for Life kind of pile, because you know, but I will try and leave the links for the ones that are available. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in my next video. Bye for now.